And what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. AEW heats up this winter season with a summertime show called Bash at the Beach. What? And it ends up being one of the most enjoyable shows of the year so far. An absolutely fantastic edition of Dynamite. They brought back the Bash at the Beach for us, and at first I didn't think it was going to be that good of an idea, but they definitely proved me wrong as they put together a high-quality episode with high-quality wrestling with one clearly obvious blip on the radar. One very, very bad mistake overall, but we're going to talk about all of it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's AEW Dynamite Bash at the Beach review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You know, before this night, when you think about the show, the Bash at the Beach, some of the names that immediately come to mind are Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Sting, Hollywood, Hulk Hogan making that infamous turn to the NWO. These are memories and moments in time that make the Bash at the Beach a special event. It means something to a wrestling fan. But now that tonight is over, a whole new generation of wrestling fans now have a Bash at the Beach of their own that is going to be synonymous with names like Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley as they add to the lineage of this great show. Cody Rhodes did a great thing by scooping up this copyright. He jumped right on this trademark, seeing that the WWE let it lapse. It is an original property of Dusty Rhodes, and they did this show justice. Top to bottom, this whole entire card was stacked with action. From the opening Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match to determine the new number one contenders for the Tag Team Championship, all the way through the end. But like I said in the open, the one very, very clear distraction to this show, the one thing that brought this show down, is the one thing that we've been bringing the hammer down on the most in AEW, and it's the one thing that I think gets the most criticism more than anything, which is why it continues to deserve and will receive the poop hammer every single time we see the Nightmare Collective collect their garbage segment and put it forth on AEW. This is the most negative part of this show, everybody. So just buckle in, because here we go. I don't understand, and I will never understand, why they feel the need to have this gimmicky, overbooked, faction-based nonsense be what they want as the focal point of their women's division. If you're a new budding wrestling company and you want a serious women's division, you want to do better than what everybody else is putting out there, you want to say you have the premier women's division in all of professional wrestling, you sign some of the greatest women's wrestling talents in all of the independents, and you're doing what with them? Not much. You're giving all of the stroke, you're giving all of the smoke to Brandi Rhodes and the Nightmare Collective. A storyline that makes zero sense. I don't understand what the purpose of it is. I don't understand why Brandi Rhodes wants to be a villain. I don't understand why she has control over Kong. Why are they collecting hair samples? Why are they bringing in 90s bald wrestling legends from New Japan that nobody in the States gives two shits about? And why are they being featured in matchups and major storylines when it is clearly the worst thing that they got going on? And it's not, I'm not slighting Brandi Rhodes. I actually really enjoy Brandi Rhodes. I just don't think this character is good for her. I don't think this storyline is good for the show. And I know a majority of AEW fans agree with me. The women's segment tonight brought this show to a screeching halt. The entire crowd went almost dead. Like, it almost was like they were in a sea of silence. And the crowd, coming off of a great opening matchup and a very decent Cody Rhodes promo, should have been able to jump right into a women's segment. I feel like if you would have featured maybe a triple threat match between 3 top-tier talents, get some exposure to the women that need exposure, why not build Chris Statlander outside of this Nightmare Collective crap? Not to mention the match itself was actually not that good. It was very basic. A very basic heel tag team structured matchup. Nothing very special about it. Dr. Luther getting in the way of the goddamn camera. Bringing the whole thing to a grinding halt at moments. For what? It didn't do anything for anybody. Didn't make you more interested in the Nightmare Collective. Didn't do anything to get them over. Didn't make Chris Statlander or Hikaru Shida give them anything better. So what? They got the win tonight. Who cares? They beat the worst thing. Doesn't mean anything. I would have rather seen Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. 2 former number 1 contenders. Settling it once and for all to see who's going to go up against Rio at Revolution. Do something like that. They don't need this angle to make the women's division interesting. All you need to do is book your women. Give them time to wrestle. Show the world what they can do in the ring. That's why they're in the business. They want to wrestle. They don't just want to act and do silly little gimmicks and have pieces of their hair cut off and all this retardedness. For what? Is Brandy Rhodes going to take control of the whole entire company? Is she going to go up against the Elite with whatever army she decides to amass? Is it going to be all females and just Dr. Luther? Nobody likes it. It doesn't make sense. And it brought down what ended up being probably AEW's finest hour tonight since its inception. They've had some really good shows, but this show, if you remove this whole segment that we were just talking about right now, this is a 4-star show. This show was great. The 4-way number 1 contender tag team matchup, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defeated the Young Bucks, the best friends, and proud and powerful of the Inner Circle. This match is the way you want to kick off a show. It was so fast-paced and so impactful that I could not even keep track of what was going on. And while I can actually put that on a negative, because there were points in this matchup where I lost track of who was even the legal man and what was actually supposed to be happening, and what was going on in the ring got very, very chaotic at times, but it was very entertaining. It wasn't overly spotty. It was paced very well, and it got the crowd hyped for this show, and the new set for this themed episode just really brought a whole new feel to a show that's already brand new, so it just elevated everything. And the opening match elevated your expectations, and it was a hell of an opener. It was absolutely fantastic. And I like what they're doing with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. I've been singing its praises because it is something I said from the minute they started it. If they continue on this path, it's going to culminate in the turn of Hangman Page. You already see the cracks continuing to spread. You see the tension between him and Omega. You've seen the tension between Hangman Page and the Bucks at the end of this match, which was blown off, and they ended up shaking hands before all was said and done. And we would see Kenny Omega and Hangman Page again on this night, but Hangman Page is starting to get drunk. He's doing his best Scott Hall impersonation. He's starting to drink whiskey after his matches, I guess, and he encounters the tag team champions, SCU, and he's very aggressive as an alcoholic or a drunk. Anybody that's been in a bar and seen the guy with the beer glasses on, you know this guy. He's all hopped up on liquor, and he's looking for this fight. And he wants to fight SCU. He's going to kick their ass. And Kenny Omega's got to come in and defuse the situation. He's trying to tell SCU, we respect you. It's cool. We're friends. We're just going to go out there. May the best man win. This is good. This is good stuff. Because when they get to this matchup, and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page lose the championship opportunity because Hangman Page turns on Kenny Omega right then and there, whether it's because he's drunk or whether it's because it's what they're going to do with the angle and go forward. It's going to be great. It's going to mean so much more, and they're already being elevated. Again, it's the only word I could think of. They've been elevated in the eyes of the fans. People that don't know who Kenny Omega or Hangman Page really are, they are getting invested in this because they're doing it right. There's drama, there's tension underneath, even though they're winning every time they get out there. Something is up with Hangman Page, and I can't wait to find out. This was a great opening matchup, great way to start the show. We had Cody Rhodes come out for his promo. He asked for MJF's stipulations to be listed. He accepted these stipulations, which we talked about last week. The 3 stipulations are: Cody Rhodes cannot touch Maxwell Jacob Friedman not once before they get to their matchup at Revolution. He has to publicly take 10 lashings on national television. 10 lashings is brutal. Anybody that watches Game of Thrones or any sort of torture type show, you understand what's in store for Cody Rhodes. This is like medieval, old school ass whooping stuff. And if you think MJF is going to hold up, you got another thing coming. This is going to be brutal. It's going to leave marks on Cody Rhodes that are probably going to still be on his back by the time we get to Revolution. And it's going to be some intense television. It's definitely going to swing the pendulum of advantage into MJF's favor as they get closer to their encounter at the pay-per-view. And the final stipulation, as we all know, AEW is going to have their first ever steel cage matchup, and it is going to feature Cody Rhodes versus Wardlow. Now, my only thing here, and this is minor at best, is you're having your first ever cage match, and it is featuring Cody Rhodes, which is fantastic, but giving it to a guy that's debuting that we've never seen in the ring before, that seems a little bit weird. I hope they definitely make it worth this guy's while. His first match ever in AEW is going to be the company's first ever steel cage match. If that doesn't speak volumes about how highly they think of this Wardlow kid, then I don't know what does. Hopefully their faith is put in the right place and we get a hell of a steel cage match. You know MJF is going to get involved one way or another. Maybe the Butcher and the Blade are going to get involved as well, as we're starting to see that become a steady grouping of talent together. I'm starting to get a little bit tired of the groups. I used to call for groups all the time. All you need is to do some factions and then you can make superstars. But you don't need like 7 factions. You need like 1, maybe 2 roaming around. And eventually the cream rises to the top and then you have your next superstar. And that could still happen here, but there's just so much going on between the Dark Order and the Nightmare Collective and now MJF's little group. And then you go to the other side of the equation and the WWE, they're starting to do groups now. And it's just like, maybe too many groups is too much. But again, these are minor criticisms of what's to come. And we still don't know if that's exactly where they're going to go with this. Cody Rhodes could end up with the win there. I don't know if he has to win or just survive. I'm not sure what the stipulations are in that case. But this steel cage match is going to be something else. And it's going to mean something as far as how Cody Rhodes is going to earn his way to whooping the ass of MJF. Cody accepted all the stipulations and promised he was going to give MJF a scar of his own. He says MJF maybe is the one that should be carrying Wardlow's bags instead of it being the other way around, since he's the one that's doing more of the work. This was a very, very good promo by Cody Rhodes, as he normally does. It was a little weird at times because he was using a lot of like weird wrestling terminology. And most of it I understand, but some of it kind of caught me off guard. I didn't know like what certain things that he was saying meant, and so much so that I can't even remember exactly what they were. I was just like, what the hell does that mean? And then we just moved along. But this was good before all was said and done. We went from this live promo in the ring to a cut pre-taped promo by Joey Janela. He said it is a new year, but this is the first time everybody has gotten to see his face in 2020. He was getting punched in his balls by his ex-girlfriend Penelope Ford. She said she could only get herself over by being involved with him, even though she has this new little side piece, which he referred to Kip Sabian, as a side piece for Penelope Ford. He dared Kip Sabian to cross the line in front of him and see what happens next time. He said last year he had a bad record, but he's going to right the ship against Rey Fenix next week. He is the backbone of AEW, and everyone will see why everyone calls Joey Janela a bad, bad boy. I liked the intensity in Joey Janela. I like that he feels this sense of he needs to prove himself to the world because, honestly, bro, you do. Much like I say about Omega and Paige earlier, nobody really knows you outside of that hardcore fan base and those, Young Bucks fans and the Bullet Club fans that are aware of what you've done outside of the United States. But all of these new people tuning in don't know why we need to call you the bad boy. We don't know why we need to care about you. And this is a great way to do that, by telling us stories. You're seeing him get frustrated at all of the things going on around him. He wants to right the ship. He's going to turn around his life in 2020. He might turn out somebody. I don't know what he's going to do personally. He needs somebody new. We don't have Penelope Ford anymore, but whatever. Joey Janela looked great in this promo, and I hope to see more from him. Then we had the terrible tag match that just took me out of the whole entire evening. Dr. Luther, before this matchup even got underway, got in the way of Sheeta before she entered. Then Mel and Brandy wanted to team up on Statlander in the ring, doing the sneak up thing, and this match was just very, very slow, very sloppy. There was one incident that I just cannot even get out of my head, and Chris Statlander, as great as she is, and I don't know whether to fault her or to fault Mel in this situation, she was standing on the outside of the apron. Mel was down on the floor, on the arena floor. Statlander threw a back heel kick right towards Mel's face, and it missed. It missed 100%, like it didn't even graze her. It was clearly a couple of inches shy. And Mel drops to the floor like she just got hit with a ton of bricks. That notwithstanding, she didn't drop to the floor, but she definitely sold it as if she got hit. But then, Chris Statlander does a backflip, lands on her feet on the arena floor, and in this case, once again, doesn't touch Mel at all, makes absolutely no contact, and now Mel falls to the floor as if she was hit by those proverbial 10 of bricks that I tried to make mention of. And it's awful. To me, when you miss a shot in wrestling, that is the time when you have to prove that you are worth your weight, and you have to call an audible. If somebody misses, be like, ha, you missed. Turn around, call a quick spot, do a reversal, and give her a shot to do the spot again. Or you don't even have to do that. You could just scrap it and move along. Call something in the ring to not make it so obvious that your partner in there, your opponent as the case may be, just kind of botched her brains out. All right, she missed. And now if you sell it like she missed, maybe the crowd's thinking, oh, well, maybe she meant to miss. Because Mel was like, nope, you missed. And then does something and you move along the match from there. Aside from that, after the Nightmare Collective thankfully at least lost this matchup, Statlander hit a package tombstone for the pin on Mel. Brandy then outside the ring is just totally going in on Mel, just screaming in her face and getting all pissed off as if it was solely her fault. And this match would have been better off not happening. I would have rather seen a one-on-one Statlander versus Sheeta, like I said. Statlander versus literally anybody else on the roster. Where's Big Swole? Why aren't we seeing her? Definitely would have been more worth our time. This was followed by a Dark Order video package. I am enjoying what they are now doing with the Dark Order. These video packages, to me, are way more valuable than any in-ring time that you give Evil Uno and Stu Grayson right now. So I really appreciated this segment here. The Dark Order video package had the Exalted One off camera, and they mentioned some potential recruits that they've had their eye on. Specifically Michael Nakazawa, who has not been having things going his direction lately. They also mentioned Brandon Cutler, who we haven't seen in a while, and Hangman Page as well. All people that are seemingly on a downward spiral in AEW and may need to be lifted back up by accepting the Dark Order into their life. I'm loving this. I'm loving it. And the potential of who the Exalted One could be when all is said and done has grown exponentially in its importance. With the coming release of Matt Hardy in March, there is tremendous speculation that he is going to be the one revealed to be the Exalted One. I had made mention of maybe they are going to do something with Christopher Daniels ending up being the Exalted One, trying to one up the Elite from within and turning on SCU in the process, resuming his very cryptic and creepy cult-like character of the Fallen Angel as the leader of this whole thing in the end. It would be a great swerve. Nobody would see it coming except for a guy like me and maybe you guys now because I put it out there in the universe. But if it happens, it'll be great. And the choices don't stop there. I mean, you could literally make it anybody, but it all depends on who it is they got coming in. It could be Luke Harper. It could be fucking Luke Harper for all we know. And why wouldn't you accept that? He's a former, Wyatt family cult member himself. Maybe he's doing his own cult here. He got himself out of the darkness of his old life. He's picking himself back up. And he's established this Dark Order to save other people from being less than what they could be. I think that's just as good as any of the other two. Some good stuff can come out of this Dark Order thing. Hopefully they don't get too cheesy with it, they don't get too hokey with it, and it doesn't need to be in the main event right now. Just because it's the most interesting thing you might have going on doesn't mean they need to be getting title shots anytime soon. Let's let it develop. Let's let it become a thing. And then all of those title shots and the importance of this group will grow and be organic and in time will be worthy. And that's what I'm hoping for. We had Sammy Guevara come to the ring with his little cue card things again, which actually to me is getting kind of annoying. Because some of them are kind of funny, I guess. But most of the time it just ends up with him calling out some celebrity female to hit him up on his Twitter account. To each his own, that's fine. But, I'd rather be watching the commercials at that point. It's not that important to go to split screen so that we can see Sammy flipping some cards around. Thankfully, though, we got this matchup. Jon Moxley defeating Sammy Guevara in a fantastic singles matchup that showcased both of these guys' talents very well. Jon Moxley playing that very Steve Austin-like role of just being just out of nowhere with his offense. He's a very big brawling style, but he was also able to bring some wrestling into this matchup. Sammy Guevara held his own. I still am very put off by the difference in size from these guys. It just seems to me that a standard AEW guy in the mid-card, like a Sammy or a Hangman Page or whatever, they go out there and they are dwarfed in height by comparison to a Jon Moxley or a Chris Jericho or even a Pac at times, who are all considered to be small for their stature in the WWE. Now you got these guys even smaller in the ring, and it just, I don't know, something about that just puts me off just a little bit. But thankfully, Sammy Guevara is more talented than I ever really knew. And I think this matchup really showed it. He was able to hang and stay in there and make this a very interesting matchup. He made Jon Moxley look great. Moxley made Sammy look great. And it was a very, very good singles matchup. The finish would see Sammy Guevara go over the top. He would go for a moonsault, but Moxley would catch him coming off the top rope and lock on a rear naked choke with a body scissors to get the tap out, which I didn't understand why they did that. I thought maybe just, hit him with your finisher and do it, but maybe he's doing this rear naked choke now as a submission style finisher for Jon Moxley in the future. I don't know. All I do know is this was a very good match, and I appreciate that. Chris Jericho comes out. The lights drop out. The lights come back on. He's standing there with Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz. Moxley was trapped in the middle of the ring, surrounded by the inner circle. Next thing you know, they're ganging up on him like a pack of hyenas. They were holding Jon Moxley against his will after beating him with a sock. They had a loaded sock, probably with some coins or some oranges or whatever it is you put in there that don't leave bruises. And Jericho did this psychotic thing. And I didn't see this coming, I'll tell you that much. He removes a spike from his jacket. He's got that jacket with all the crazy demon spikes sticking out. He took one of the spikes out and jammed it in the eye or the face of Jon Moxley. He was selling it as if it was the eye. Jon Moxley's right eye. Right to the face. Definitely incapacitating him. We had medical come to assist. They were holding the rag over the face. You seen the blood, and then it was very, very intense. Seemed to be very, very real feeling. The feeling of it was very real. Jericho and the Inner Circle are pissed off that Jon Moxley embarrassed them the way he did last week on Dynamite, smashing a champagne bottle across the head of Chris Jericho after making them believe that he joined the Inner Circle. This was very well done. This was fine. I didn't think they needed to do anything more with this, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. MJF comes out for his matchup. We're going to have this 6-man tag on this night. He's wearing an I Banged Dallas's Daughter shirt. And you cannot tell me that he's not one of the most genius heels running around today. How do you even have the balls to have that shirt made? And then stand there in the ring with Diamond Dallas Page. Wow. Wow. What a fucking great shirt. I really, really enjoyed just that. But we had MJF and the Butcher and the Blade defeating Diamond Dallas Page, Dustin Rhodes, and QT Marshall. It's 2020, and I am sitting here reporting to you guys about a match at the Bash at the Beach featuring Dustin Rhodes and Diamond Dallas Page. That is a sentence that 1 year ago at this very moment I would not have ever would have bet money that I would have been able to say to you. But here we are, and it is an actual fact. And this match was, for me, give or take. I don't understand why they felt the necessity to have this matchup. You got a guy like QT Marshall in there as a teammate of Dustin Rhodes and Dallas Page. Now, I know he's part of the whole Nightmare Family thing, and he's a friend of Cody and that whole storyline. But the guy's name is QT Marshall, and he looks as generic as fuck. And QT Marshall sounds like the name of the next guy they're going to be putting in the ring against Eric Rowan to be bitten by his mystery animal in the box. It's just, and I don't know if it's his real initials. Maybe his name is Quentin Tarantino Marshall. I don't know. But the QT Marshall, not interesting to me. Diamond Dallas Page, 60 years old. He's in there wrestling full steam, and he's wrestling better than a lot of the kids. I don't say this very often because when you put a 60-year-old in the ring, I usually shit all over it. But his yoga must be doing something. It's probably like a miracle cure to life. Like the guy took off his shirt tonight. He looked like the same exact Diamond Dallas Page I was watching in 1998 and 1999. Almost no difference except for the haircut. It's insane. And the way he moved in the ring is delivering lariats, hitting diamond cutters. It's fantastic. Should MJF have been hit with a diamond cutter tonight? I don't think so. I don't think that was necessary. That's something that if you wanted to have it happen, that's a big time moment that you could have led to. You could have had Diamond Dallas set up for that diamond cutter and then have MJF escape, and you tease it on a couple of more times down the road. But then after Cody Rhodes gains his vengeance, you have DDP hit MJF with a diamond cutter. The crowd pops, everybody pops. It would be fun. It would be great. So again, minor criticisms here because this was a good 6-man as far as 6-mans go, and Dustin Rhodes at his age hitting Canadian destroyers now on a weekly basis. Flipping pile drivers are very difficult. And he's going from the second rope, jumping down, and then flipping these guys, and it's impressive. It's impressive. It's impressive when people of a young age do it. It's even more impressive to me when a guy like Goldust is out there banging these moves out. And while I don't appreciate the team up being 2 older guys and one pretty much unknown, versus the hottest heel in pro wrestling and two of the newest members of the tag team division, this ended up being a good match. So I was alright with it. And MJF should not have lost. And he didn't. And that was the most important thing. You got to keep building his momentum. I'm not sure what role the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny are actually going to play as we move forward with the whole MJF Cody Rhodes situation. We know Wardlow is MJF's bodyguard guy, but I'm not really sure what's going on as far as everybody's factions or grouping togethers or whatever it is. But we'll learn more about that in the weeks to come. This was a great match. It was a great match. And that's all we watch wrestling for in the first place, isn't it? We want to see some good wrestling. And these guys did it. WWE brings back these legends and they can't perform like this. I don't know why. Maybe because the guys they bring back are guys that couldn't probably wrestle in the first place. That's probably a little mean to say, but it's true. It's true. Guarantee you, Triple H at fucking WrestleMania is doing Canadian Destroyers. I guarantee you we're going to see it. Because he's seeing what's going on over there, and now he's going to want to be the next old guy to do it. Oh, well, if Goldust can do it, I can do it. I'm going to do it. That sounded more like Triple H, Vince than Triple H. But fuck that company, because this is about AEW, and they knocked it out of the park tonight with the exception of the women's division. Jen Decker was backstage with SCU, and we mentioned this earlier. Hangman Page interrupted a promo with a drink in his hand, talking trash to SCU. Kenny Omega intervened to diffuse the entire situation. He's trying to tell SCU, listen, we're all friends here. We still have respect. The Elite and SCU, we're all boys. Let's just go out there and may the best team win. But Hangman Page has got something going on, and it made for interesting TV. The main event on this night was Pac going one-on-one with Darby Allin. And I did not expect this match to be as ferocious and as intense as it was. Pac is fantastic. You watch this matchup that he had with Darby Allin tonight, you know his matchup with Jon Moxley is going to be next level type stuff. Darby Allin is a fantastic talent. I definitely didn't expect him to win tonight, but I also didn't expect him to put on such an impressive show. This kid, when he goes out there, if he don't die nearly 6 times before the end of the matchup, then it's not really a Darby Allin match, is it? He has me on the edge of my seat. He sells so beautifully. And obviously he's not, he's getting hurt. We know that, but you know what I mean? He's not getting injured to the point where he can't come out next week and do it all over again. So the guy's good at his job. He's making us believe that he's being broken in half. This was a tremendous showing for Pac. He was really a bastard in this match. He was going full pedal to the metal. His strikes and his chops were really, really stiff. And Darby Allin took everything. He took everything. He dished out the best that he could, but there was no way he was going to get past Pac on this night. Pac would eventually climb to the top rope, and hit that Black Arrow splash, get the win in an excellent main event to cap off the first part. This is only part 1 of the Bash at the Beach. The bashing will continue next week on the Chris Jericho cruise, apparently. Can't wait to see what the rest of the show is going to have in store for us. We went off the air tonight after this matchup concluded. Tony Schiavone went to interview Pac. Pac automatically assumes that the number 1 contendership is his, now that Jon Moxley has been incapacitated and is a non-entity. He believes Moxley's out, so he should automatically be given the number 1 contendership. My one little thing here is, wasn't Moxley already the number 1 contender? I feel like every week they're changing who the number 1 contender is, or they're adding new number 1 contenders matches in all the divisions. They did it to the women. One week Sheeta's the number 1 contender. The next week Statlander's the number 1 contender. And I thought it was pretty much set in stone that we were getting Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho following last week. But they're trying to add a little bit along the way. And I am not at all disappointed that we are going to end up seeing this match. I just don't understand how they are going about picking their winners and their losers and their number 1 contenders. Like, that would obviously be the whole point for the ranking system. So you wouldn't have to have people fighting over who the number 1 contender is, because the person with the best record after the champion is the number 1 contender. Wouldn't that make sense? If that's not the case, why have the stats? Just throwing that out there. The end of the show got a little bit hokey for me. And I felt like they were trying maybe just a little bit too hard. As Pac is making all these proclamations about how he should be the number 1 contender because he's going to win by forfeit anyway, and he's got his sights already set on Jericho, Moxley's being loaded into an ambulance, but he breaks his way out. He's kicking his way out of the door, and he comes all out of there, and he's got a patch on his eye, and he looks like a pirate, and he comes walking out to the ring. And he says he doesn't care if he's blind. He's going to win the match. He's going to kick Pac's ass next week, and then he's going to kick Chris Jericho's ass. And this was very Attitude Era type stuff. And, I already lived the Attitude Era, and it was awesome. And you can't replicate that kind of stuff. And if they're trying to paint Jon Moxley in the vein of a Stone Cold Steve Austin, and maybe doing like a what if scenario. What If was one of my favorite comics as a kid because it just brought to you some of the craziest stories ever. But now I'm thinking they're going, well, what if Steve Austin was facing off against the Four Horsemen? Like that. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Take some of the classic wrestling angles and mix them all together. I just feel like it was a little bit much. A little bit much. We didn't need Moxley coming back out making this proclamation. We could have started next week's show with him showing up with the eye patch on, saying, it ain't going to be no cakewalk for Pac. I'm coming for my shot, and I'm going to kick your ass tonight. Got everybody hyped for an event that they maybe thought was not going to happen, because we would have went off the air with Pac assuming that he was now the number 1 contender. Maybe just a different way to go about it. But all of the matchups on this night, besides the women's, were spot on. Definitely the whole reason why we watch professional wrestling. What a great show. If you missed AEW's Bash at the Beach, go back and watch it however you can. It'll be worth your time. Just skip the women's match. And I hate saying that, because all they had to do was book a women's match that would have been interesting. You know what's not interesting? Anything involving the Nightmare Collective. That's going to do it for our AEW review this week. What a tremendous improvement from last week's just tremendously bad episode. We come full circle and we go in a complete different direction here and pick things up to a whole new level. Fantastic. I had a great time. And from what I've been seeing and from what I've been hearing, NXT was a good time tonight too. But we're going to go watch that, and we will have you guys updated on that tomorrow night as we do our NXT review Thursday night for you guys. So make sure you are here for that. In order to make sure you don't miss that, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. If you enjoyed our AEW Bash at the Beach review, probably the first review we've done in quite some time that was not overtly negative, and if you don't like this video, then I can't help you people. This is the most positive I could be about such a great show. I've never been so nice to a show before, but that's because I really genuinely had a good time watching these matches. So if you're still gonna shit on me, then just don't come back. I don't know what else to tell you. AEW fans are so sensitive. So sensitive. Take it easy. It's just wrestling. It's just an opinion. Good Lord. But if you did like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Don't hit the thumbs down, because I was nice. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss anything else, and then make sure you share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they need to know how good AEW was tonight and how much of a disgrace the Nightmare Collective is to the world of professional wrestling. You know where to direct them. And of course, be here for us every single Friday and Monday as we bring the hammer down on the two worst shows in all of professional wrestling, as our coverage of the WWE and the hammerings that they deserve continue as we kick off 2020 in a big way. We are looking for 3K and beyond before the end of this year, and only you can make that happen. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media at Nick Nightmare is the Twitter, at Nick_Nightmare on Instagram. If you want to get a little more personal, see a little bit more into my personal life, you can follow us on those two platforms as well. Don't forget the audio podcasts are available as well. iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and Podbean. They don't go up as quickly as I don't know what it is. I upload them and then it just takes forever for them to be there on certain other platforms. But whatever, they will be there for you guys if you enjoy that type of thing. Everything always debuts on YouTube first, which is why you should always make this your primary place for your Sledgehammer TV fix. That, my friends, is going to do it. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Rest in peace, Rocky Johnson.